Have you ever felt like some people just don't care about your boundaries? Like your time, your feelings, your voice mean nothing to them? They interrupt you, talk over you, throw little jabs disguised as jokes, and you're left wondering, should I speak up? Should I stay silent? Or just walk away? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Dealing with disrespect, especially when it comes from people we can't avoid, is one of the most frustrating, draining experiences we face. But here's the truth. You don't have to fight fire with fire. You can choose power without aggression. That's where Stoicism comes in, an ancient philosophy that teaches us how to stay calm, composed, and in control, even when others aren't. In this video, I'll show you 5 powerful Stoic ways to handle people who don't respect you, without losing your cool and without losing yourself. Let's begin. Number 1. Use the power of a silent stare. It happened to Olivia in a way many of us have felt before. She was presenting a new idea in a team meeting, something she had spent the entire weekend preparing. But halfway through her pitch, one of her colleagues, Dan, chuckled dismissively, leaned back in his chair and interrupted her with, "This feels like overthinking, don't you think?" The room went quiet. Everyone looked around awkwardly. Olivia froze for a second. Her pulse quickened. Her throat tightened. Her first instinct was to fire back, to defend her work, to prove herself right. But instead, she did something different. She stopped. She breathed. And then she simply turned her head, looked at Dan, calm, direct, expressionless, and held his gaze. She didn't blink. She didn't frown. She didn't say a word. For a few long seconds, silence filled the room. Dan shifted in his seat. He cleared his throat, and this time, he said nothing. Olivia then returned to her slides, picked up exactly where she left off, and delivered her message without another interruption. That moment may have seemed small to others, but to Olivia, it was a silent revolution. There's a powerful lesson in that moment, one rooted in Stoic philosophy. When someone disrespects us, our emotional reflex is to respond, to defend, explain, retaliate. That's natural. But the Stoics teach us that our power lies not in reaction, but in restraint. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When you respond with silence and composure instead of anger, you show the other person, and yourself, that their behavior has no power over your peace. Before she embraced this mindset, Olivia used to replay those moments endlessly in her head, wondering if she should have said more, stood up louder. But this time, the stillness of her stare was louder than any comeback. Her calm wasn't weakness, it was command. By refusing to engage emotionally, she held the mirror up and let Dan see the weight of his own behavior. Think of it like this. Disrespect is a fire, reaction is fuel. But silence? Silence is water. A steady, silent stare is like pouring cool water on someone's flames. It doesn't escalate, it extinguishes. And more importantly, it protects your own house from burning down in the process. This practice of composed silence has been used for centuries, not just by Stoics, but by wise minds across history. Epictetus, once a slave who became one of the great Stoic teachers, taught that when someone insults you, the injury only happens if you believe you've been harmed. In other words, it's not what they say, it's what you do with it. And what's more powerful than proving to yourself that you don't need to react? So how can you apply this in your life? Here are a few simple but transformative actions. Next time someone makes a rude comment or tries to provoke you, don't rush to fill the silence. Just look at them. Soft eyes, relaxed face, still posture. Say nothing. Let their words echo in their own discomfort. Practice this first in small moments. At the grocery store, when someone cuts you in line, or when a coworker makes a sarcastic jab. Hold the moment. No panic, no performance. When you resist the urge to fix or fight, you'll start to realize something empowering. You're not at their mercy. You're in command of your own response. In the longer term, develop the habit of emotional awareness. Train yourself to notice the first spark of irritation and ask the Stoics question, is this within my control? If the answer is no, then silence is strength. If yes, then action should come only after reflection, not reflex. The transformation is real. Olivia walked out of that meeting not just proud of what she presented, but proud of how she showed up. Not rattled, not reactive, but resolved. She didn't match disrespect with more noise. She met it with something far more unsettling, dignified stillness. And it worked. This is the quiet power of Stoicism in action. It teaches us that sometimes the most powerful statement we can make is saying nothing at all. So the next time someone tries to shake your ground, plant your feet, steady your gaze, and let your silence speak. Because that's how an ordinary moment becomes extraordinary when seen through the eyes of a Stoic. And speaking of silence, sometimes the best response to words is none at all. But what about when people don't need words to cross the line, when their mere presence drains you? That's where we go next. Number 2. Let silence speak for you. Have you ever walked away from a conversation and thought, I shouldn't have said that, or why did I let them get to me? It's a common feeling. Someone pushes your buttons, makes a sarcastic remark, or throws a passive-aggressive jab. And before you know it, you've already reacted. Words you didn't mean, energy you didn't want to give. So let me ask you, what if your most powerful response is no response at all? Silence may seem passive. It may feel weak. But in the Stoic worldview, silence is a form of strength, a deliberate choice, not a lack of one. Let's break this down. When someone disrespects you or tries to provoke you, what do they want? Your reaction, your energy, your emotional surrender. And when you give them silence instead, you take all that power away. Think about it. Do you control their words? No. Do you control how they see you? Also no. But you do control whether you hand them your peace. And that control lives in your silence. The Stoics remind us constantly, you always have the option of having no opinion. Marcus Aurelius. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care more about your peace than their drama. Let me give you a real-life example. Eric works in IT support. Every week there's this one department head who sends snide emails, CCs upper management, and acts like every small tech issue is a personal failure on Eric's part. At first, Eric would respond right away, explaining, defending, apologizing for things beyond his control. It exhausted him. Until one day, he decided to try something different. He read the email, paused, and said nothing. No reply. Not immediately. He waited until he was calm. He replied 3 lines. Straightforward. No emotion. No defense. The result? The complaints didn't stop entirely, but they lost their sting. That person stopped baiting. And Eric? He got his evenings and his dignity back. Here's why silence works so well. Because it gives space for reflection, yours and theirs. It breaks the pattern of conflict and disarms the energy of escalation. It forces the other person to sit alone with their words. And more importantly, it reminds you that you are not obligated to react to every provocation. Imagine it like this. You're standing in a rainstorm. You can shout at the clouds. You can curse the weather. Or you can put up your umbrella and keep walking. That umbrella, that's your silence. Now this idea isn't new. In fact, Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, believed that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, to listen more and speak less. And Seneca once said, no one can bring you peace but yourself. Sometimes the most peaceful move you can make is to stay silent and let the storm pass. Let me ask you, have you ever regretted not reacting? Probably not. But how many times have you regretted saying too much, too soon, too emotionally? Exactly. That's why Stoicism trains us to pause, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. So what can you do right now to practice this? The next time someone says something rude or condescending, don't defend yourself immediately. Pause. Count to 5. Let silence hang for just a moment. Let them feel the weight of their own words. In a calm moment later, decide whether it even deserves a reply. If it does, keep it short, neutral, and steady. No emotions, no performance, just clarity. Also, take time each evening to reflect on one interaction where you stayed silent or wish you had. Write it down. This practice builds awareness and sharpens self-control. And long-term, develop the habit of not needing the last word. Because silence isn't surrender, it's elevation. So here's the truth. Silence doesn't mean you lost. It means you're grounded enough to choose peace over pride. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. Now it's your turn to ask yourself, the next time someone tries to trigger me, will I give them my energy or will I give them silence? Because sometimes the most powerful voice in the room is the one that doesn't speak at all. And in the next part, we'll explore another crucial truth, why you don't need to explain yourself to be respected. Stay with me. Number 3, stop explaining your choices. Here's a challenge for you. Are you brave enough to go an entire day without explaining yourself to anyone? No justifying why you said no to that dinner. No over-explaining your career move. No apologizing for doing what's best for you. Sounds simple, right? But let's be honest, how often do you catch yourself doing exactly that? Explaining, justifying, softening your decisions so others feel comfortable with them. You do it out of habit, out of fear of judgment, and sometimes out of guilt. But the truth is this: you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you live your life. Let's walk through this together, because unlearning this habit takes real courage. At first, it feels awkward. You'll feel rude. You'll hear yourself about to say, "I didn't go because," or "I quit that job because." And then you'll catch yourself and stop. And that silence, that small pause, that's power. Stoicism teaches us that our life is ours alone. We're responsible for how we live, not for how others perceive our choices. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because living according to your own reason sometimes means going against what others expect. And when you do that, they will ask questions. They will doubt you. But their discomfort is not your burden. Let me share a story with you. Laura had worked in finance for 12 years. Great salary, secure position. But every day she felt more and more drained, like her life was shrinking. She made the bold decision to leave and open a small yoga studio. And the moment people heard, the questions started pouring in. "Are you sure? But what about your career? Is that really a smart move?" At first she tried to explain her burnout, her vision, her financial plan, but no answer ever felt good enough, so she stopped explaining. The next time someone asked, she simply smiled and said, "Because it felt right." That's it. And in that moment, she felt more free than she had in years. Now you might be thinking, what if they think I'm selfish? What if they don't understand? Let me tell you something. It's okay if they don't understand. They're not supposed to. Your path is not a group discussion. It's a personal journey, and only you walk it. Have you ever made a choice that felt good, but then ruined it by over-explaining yourself until it lost its magic? You're not alone. But the good news? You can stop that cycle right now. Let me guide you through a few actions you can take to reclaim your voice. The next time someone questions your decision, practice responding with clarity and brevity. "I just felt it was the right thing," or "I made the best choice for me." Say it with calm, no edge, no apology. Then stop talking. Don't fill the silence. Let them sit with it. Reflect each evening. Where did I over-explain today? Why did I feel the need to? Bring awareness to the pattern. Start journaling weekly. One bold choice you made without explaining yourself. This reinforces the mindset that your worth isn't up for debate. And long-term, build your inner compass. When you trust your values deeply, you won't crave external validation. Because when your choices are rooted in integrity, you don't need permission. You already have purpose. So here's what you've done today. You stood your ground. You chose peace over approval. You reminded yourself, "I don't need to be understood to be respected." And I'm proud of you for that. Because not explaining your choices doesn't make you cold or distant. It makes you centered. This is just the beginning. You're learning to move through life with quiet confidence. No drama. No doubt, just direction. Be so rooted in your truth that other people's confusion no longer shakes you. So, are you ready for what's next? What if the next step is not just protecting your voice, but protecting your space? Let's talk about distance. How keeping your peace sometimes means keeping people out. Number 4, keep your distance. He who is brave is free. Seneca. It's a powerful line, isn't it? At first glance, it sounds like a call to charge into battle. But in the world of Stoicism, it means something deeper, something quieter, but no less courageous. The bravery to walk away from what disturbs your peace. To remove yourself from environments, conversations, or people that do not serve your growth. That is the freedom Seneca speaks of. But what does brave mean here? And how does distance lead to freedom? Let's explore. To be brave in the Stoic sense is not to confront every storm, but to know which storms are not worth standing in. It's having the clarity to say, "This dynamic drains me," and the discipline to step back, even when the world tells you to stay and smile. Keeping your distance isn't rejection, it's protection. It's not about bitterness, it's about boundaries. And in a society that glorifies constant connection, it takes real courage to say, I choose peace over proximity. Let me show you what that looks like. Thomas was the kind of guy everyone leaned on. At work, he was the problem solver. At home, he was the fixer. Even his friends called only when something went wrong. One of his closest friends, Jake, had a habit of masking insults as humor. Come on, you know I'm just messing with you, Jake would say. After criticizing Thomas's appearance, career, even his relationship, Thomas laughed it off. At first. But every time you left a conversation with Jake, he felt a little smaller, like he had to shrink to fit the friendship. Then one day, he decided to do something radical. He stopped initiating. He stopped responding right away. He gave space, and in that space, he found clarity. He realized the relationship had become a one-way drain on his energy. The moment he chose distance, he chose himself. Now pause and ask yourself, who in your life makes you feel like that? Not hated, not openly attacked, just depleted. Who do you feel you have to explain yourself to? Prove yourself to? Hold your breath around? And what would happen if just for a while you step back? Seneca didn't mean freedom as something external. He meant the freedom that comes from inner calm, the kind you protect when you're brave enough to walk away. And this principle goes beyond friendships. It applies to toxic workplaces, to social circles where gossip replaces growth, even to digital spaces that hijack your emotions. Stoicism reminds us we become what we surround ourselves with. So choose wisely, not just what you consume, but who you allow close. To keep your distance doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start prioritizing. And the Stoics knew your time, your attention, and your inner peace are your most sacred possessions. Would you hand your house keys to someone who constantly trashes your home? Then why give emotional access to someone who disrespects your spirit? Here's what you can do, starting today. First, take 5 minutes to reflect on one relationship that leaves you drained. Not angry, just empty. Don't judge it, just notice it. Next, reduce contact intentionally. Skip a call. Delay a reply. Change how often you engage, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. In the long term, build a life where you choose quality over obligation. Surround yourself with people who don't just hear you, but see you, support you, and challenge you to grow. So what does Seneca's quote mean truly? He who is brave is free. It means freedom isn't something the world gives you. It's something you create every time you honor your boundaries. Every time you say, I love myself too much to stay in what hurts me. You are being brave. Every time you let go of the need to be liked by everyone, you step closer to freedom. And that is the quiet, strong kind of bravery we need today. So let me ask you, what distance do you need to create to return to yourself? Because this isn't the end, it's the beginning. The space you claim today may be the very soil where peace takes root. And as we move forward, remember, sometimes the strongest act of love is stepping away. Number 5. Hold your head high. When was the last time you lowered your eyes, just to avoid conflict, judgment, or shame? Think about that moment. Maybe it was at work, during a tense meeting. Maybe it was in a social situation when someone's words stung and you didn't know how to respond. Or maybe it wasn't what they said, it was just the way they looked at you. Now let me ask you, what would have happened if you had simply held your head high? In the philosophy of Stoicism, your posture, physically and emotionally, matters more than you think. The way you carry yourself sends a message, not just to others, but to your own mind. When you stand tall, shoulders back, eyes forward, even in uncomfortable moments, you're saying, I will not be defined by your opinion of me. But how do we actually do that? Let's break it down. First, holding your head high begins with knowing your worth. And true self-worth, doesn't come from praise or external approval. It comes from living with integrity, being clear about your values, and knowing you acted rightly, even if no one applauds. Epictetus reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because choosing what's right over what's popular will always be misunderstood by someone. So instead of constantly explaining or defending, stand firm in who you are, and let your posture speak for your principles. Second, holding your head high doesn't mean pretending nothing affects you. It means acknowledging discomfort, but not surrendering to it. Let me give you a simple example. Amanda was invited to a dinner party where she didn't know many people. As soon as she arrived, someone asked what she did for work. When she answered, "I'm taking a break to care for my mental health," the tone changed. She felt eyes on her. Judgments forming. Her instinct was to justify, to laugh it off, to explain that she still freelanced or that she had savings, but she didn't. She smiled, looked the person in the eye, and kept her head high. The conversation moved on, and inside, she felt powerful, because she chose truth over performance. Third, picture this. Confidence is like the sky on a stormy day. Clouds may form, winds may howl, but the sky remains. You are that sky. Your self-worth doesn't vanish because someone brings in a storm. Holding your head high is remembering the blue sky is still there, even when others can't see it. Do you ever feel like shrinking back when someone doubts you? Do you avoid eye contact when you feel small? That's okay. We all do. But here's the Stoic shift. Your value isn't on trial. Your dignity isn't up for negotiation. Even when the world doubts you, you don't have to join them. So next time your confidence wavers, ask, is my posture telling the truth or hiding it? Let's put this into practice. Today, practice walking into every room as if you belong, because you do. Speak one truth this week without softening or apologizing for it. When someone tries to belittle your opinion, look them in the eye. Stay silent if needed, but don't drop your gaze. Don't fold inward. Hold your space, and long-term, build routines that remind you who you are. Reading Stoic texts, journaling victories, practicing stillness. These rituals build mental posture, which strengthens physical posture over time, because the way we stand reflects the way we think, and the way we carry ourselves can shape who we become. To sum it up, holding your head high means trusting your worth, even when no one else claps. It's choosing dignity over drama, stillness over scrambling, clarity over chaos. And that choice, that quiet strength, it builds a kind of confidence the world cannot shake. So let me ask you, when life tests your confidence next time, will you shrink back, or will you walk forward, head held high? Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all, just the way you stand. When we started this journey, we asked a simple but powerful question. How do you deal with people who don't respect you without losing your peace? Now you've seen that the answer isn't in louder words or sharper comebacks. It's in silence, stillness, boundaries, and above all, self-respect. From learning to use the power of a calm stare to knowing when to walk away or stand tall, Stoicism gives us timeless tools to protect our dignity, even in the face of disrespect. Because when you choose to respond with intention instead of impulse, you don't just survive difficult moments, you rise above them. And here's your next step. Try just one principle today. Whether it's holding your head high in a tense moment or staying silent when provoked, put it into practice. You may be surprised how much peace you gain by simply choosing not to react. If this video helped you shift your perspective, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. Drop a comment below with your favorite insight, or just say, "I liked this video," if you're not sure what to say. Your feedback helps us grow, and your presence means everything. Until next time, stand tall, stay calm, and remember, respect always begins with you.